Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to episode 2 of Direwolf20's Satisfactory Let's Play series. Oh boy, getting excited for this one because we've already gotten an update to the game, which is pretty cool. I want to show you real quick. An update came out today that changes some of the rendering of buildings as you place them. So you remember how we were placing buildings yesterday? Look how fancy they look. Ooh, can't afford. Looks neat. There's also some fancier rendering when you're dismantling a building. Nice. And I think it was highlighted in red because we didn't have the resources to build it, but now it's going to be nice and bluish because we can. How cool is that? Awesome. I love it. And I think they've actually already updated it again. I just haven't relaunched my game to make it happen, but come tomorrow there's going to be another update that tweaks that a little bit, because a couple little things were not looking perfect, which you might see in this video, but just, you know, rest assured they've already been fixed in the next version. So that's pretty cool. So I love when there's new things. New things are fun. And since it's an early access game, you know that happens. The way this game's early access features work, by the way, is they release major versions. So this is update 4. It added like a bunch of new blocks and mechanics and items. And then there'll probably be some small tweaks and changes to it as, you know, they update. And then eventually there'll be update 5, which will be another major content patch and add a bunch of new features and stuff. So this is update 4. It's the 4th iteration of major features. I'm just running around to all my miners here real quick to process things. Couple notes I want to make too. Let me know how video quality is in this episode. I might make a tweak or two to some settings just to see if I can make them a little bit better, but curious how video quality looks. So please let me know in the comments of today's video how that looks. And I'm going to try maybe in episode 3 changing the way I record a couple settings and see if it looks better. You guys are going to have to let me know, you know, which is better or are they the same. So today's episode, what I want to work on is progressing beyond our current hub upgrade. So if we take a look here, we'll notice that we have upgraded to hub upgrade 3 last episode. It unlocked a bunch of new features, a bunch of new items we can make, and also specifically the ability to make power poles, which is nice, and a new scanner update to get a new resource, which was limestone. Now to upgrade to number 4, we're going to need a bit of concrete, which is used for foundations. We're going to need some cables and some iron plates, nothing too crazy, and that'll give us conveyor belts. And it'll be our first foray into automation. So there's the conveyor pole, which is basically like an anchor point for your belt to sit on, and then there's conveyor belts themselves, which transfer resources. The tier 1 version of the belt transfers 60 resources per minute, so 1 item per second. It's slowish, but there's faster ones, obviously, because Mark 1 implies that there's a Mark 2 and potentially more. And there absolutely is. We'll also get some more pocket dimension slots. So I'm going to go ahead and select this milestone so it's represented in the top left of my screen. I'm also going to tell you guys a neat trick that somebody commented on. I think if you hit control space, is it? Or is it shift space to work? No? Do both work? Oh, you just have to tap space now. Okay, that's neat. So in previous iterations of this game, you had to hold the space bar. Right now, I'm not touching the keyboard or mouse. My hands are completely off. And by just hitting the space key, you don't have to hold it. You just tap it, and it'll go ahead and craft for you. Well, that's neat. I'm going to go ahead and craft all the components I need for this, and we're going to upgrade it. Concrete, by the way, because it's a new resource, simply is made, as you can see here. Oh, nice. You can just go ahead and click on it, and it keeps crafting. That's even better. Concrete is made with sandstone, or limestone, right? So it's 3 limestone per 1 concrete. Yes. 3 sandstone per 1, or limestone per 1 concrete. So that's just an FYI. I'm going to put away some junk that I don't necessarily need in my inventory at the moment. And we'll be right back after I craft all these things, which will take a minute. One side note I'll tell you guys, at this stage of the game, the only thing copper is useful for is wire. So don't be afraid to turn all your copper into wire. Iron obviously has iron plates or iron rods, and then rods turn into screws. But right now, the only thing copper is used for is wire. And then wire is made into cables, obviously. So don't worry too much about just burning all your copper into wire. Also, don't worry too much about the materials you dig out of the ground anyway. Because remember, copper, iron, limestone, and the other materials like them that we haven't discovered yet are all unlimited. There's literally an unlimited amount of iron in this world. If you know, there's no wasting iron. There's only wasting time. Alright, I'm going to call that good enough. We'll hang on to a few more iron ingots still, but that should be enough to upgrade our hub. So, bada bing, bada boom, huzzah. Hooray! Upgrade 4 unlocked. Sweet. Our hub gets another little fancy upgrade. We did not yet get a second
Congratulations.
biomass burner, but
You
we will
have
soon.
unlocked building, conveyor belts,
Yay.
and poles. Inventory, additional slots. 9th objective, complete hub upgrade 5. Note, portable miners cannot be connected to conveyor belts. Advice, when planning the construction of buildings, note the placement of conveyor belts.
Yes. Sweet. Awesome. All right. So what I like to do, logistics here is a new tab that's opened. I don't like to have conveyor poles on my hotbar. It's rare that I do this. So what I'll do is I'll hit number 4 to bind it there, and then 3 to bounce it back, and that removed the conveyor pole. That's just the way I personally like to have things set up. So that should be cool, right? Sweet. So now we have access to conveyor belts, which is awesome. And as you can see, conveyor belts are just using metal, right? And when you get near a machine, it'll snap to it. And it's important to pay attention to the machine's inputs and outputs. Now, this is one of the bugs that was fixed. It's kind of hard to see, but there's the orange arrow, and that's supposed to be an orange square, but it's kind of clipping behind the new rendering of the machine. So unfortunately, this video happens to exist in the moment, the temporary moment where this is hard to see. But there's an orange arrow, which is and the arrows are visible for colorblind reasons probably, but you can see them going into the machine. So that's the input side of the machine, right? And the other side is the output side, and that's very obvious as well. The arrows are coming out of the machine that way. So when you build them, pay attention to that so that you know, like, hey, we want to have, input machine, right? So I'm gonna click here to start building, click here to specify the output. It kind of locks it in place, and then click again, and we suddenly have a conveyor belt ready to go. How cool is that, right? So let's say we wanted to auto-craft iron plates, right, from our iron ingots that are sitting in here. What we could set up is our constructor. We would align it so that the orange side is facing the blue, and when you're building, you can kind of, as you're trying to build near a building, it'll show you what the outputs and inputs are, right, which is very helpful. Right, I need some reinforced plates to make these, by the way. So why don't we cook up some screws? And you'll notice you need a hefty amount of screws to make iron plates, right? So don't skimp on the screws. Screws will become the bane of your existence if you're playing this game pretty soon. Just letting you know. Letting you know. Screws are a nuisance to craft, but it's part of what makes the whole process fun. Okay? So I'm going to get myself a handful of reinforced iron plates. These will be automated eventually, obviously, but here's step 1, our very first little bit of automation, right? We're going to, and this is not going to be super well structured, but we will improve things as time goes by. And then I'm going to open up this machine. We're going to tell him to make iron plates, and it's telling me 3 iron ingots make 2 iron plates. Exactly the same recipe as if you're doing it by hand. Ooh, they added a copy and paste settings. Oh, that's awesome. That's new. Sorry, I'm getting excited when I see new things. We're going to dismantle this power line here. Goodbye. And then I'm going to create over here, I'm going to run a power line like so. And that'll, when you run a power line off of something, it'll automatically place a new power pole. So you don't have to manually place your power poles and then connect the power lines yet. There's improved power poles in the future that you do have to do that with. And then we can connect our power pole. You'll note that when you're mousing over it, it says 1 out of 4. That means this power line is currently connected to 1 machine. In this case, the generator, which is generating power. All machines only have 1 connection point, so you can't connect. You can, but then that's the only connection you can have, right? So I can't connect, example, from the power line to here and then from here to here. No. You can't daisy chain. There's a mod that allows daisy chaining, by the way, but I'm not going to use it because I want this playthrough to be very vanilla. There'll be a couple mods I add, but very vanilla. So right now we've got 1 connection out of 4 that this power or what's it called? The power pole can handle, right? So the power pole we're going to connect to there, and then we're going to connect this power pole to there. Cool. And now he's 3 out of 4. 1 for the generator and 2 more for each of the machines. And then from here, we would want to create another power pole, and we're at 4 out of 4. If we were to connect this to another machine, we wouldn't have room to connect to another power pole. So in general, you're thinking like 2 machines per power pole until you get to advanced power poles, which again, spoiler alert, there'll be some more in the future. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that we've got plenty of iron ore in our smelter. So let's go grab some iron ore. And soon we will have a building that we can, you know, auto-extract the ore and dump it into the smelter. So this is all temporary. And the nice thing about temporary is we're going to eventually tear this all down and rebuild it. And that's one of the best things about Satisfactory is that you don't have to worry about, you know, hanging on to your resources and, oh, I'm worried about placement. Just put it wherever. Fix it later. Because Dyer's always fixing it later, right? I always do that. So now we'll set up our conveyor belt from here to here. And our iron ore that's being produced here is being pumped out of the machine by the conveyor belts into the input side here, where it's getting turned into that stuff. You can see it kind of happening. Looking good, right? Yeah, it does. And then over here is where it would be getting piped out into some kind of storage location, but we don't have those set up yet. But we will be getting them soon. And just like that, we have a ton of iron plates that we can, for now, manually grab out of here. Now, eventually, that's going to route into other machines and do other things, but we'll obviously get to that. So what's our next task? Hub Upgrade 5. That will access the Miner Mark 1, which is the powered version of the miner. So downside, it requires power. Upside, it mines a lot faster and can hook up to conveyor belts. Sounds like a win to me, right? Also, the storage container for holding more items. Also a win. So let's grab that. We're going to need a handful more of these dudes. So let's just put away what we have, and then we'll craft a few more iron rods and wires, cables. Be right back. All right, here goes. Hub upgrade. Click. Complete. Hooray! And look, we got our second biomass burner now, which is cool.
Congratulations. You have unlocked Building Miner Mark 1. Building Storage Container. Hub feature Additional Biomass Burner. 10th objective. Complete Hub Upgrade 6. Note, there are no notes.
Note, there are no notes. So obviously what I just did here was connect these two biomass burners to a power pole and then connected the power pole back up over here. Cool. Sweet. So that looks good to me. Now, just for curiosity, the next hub upgrade requires a few things. Ooh, that'll get me access to biomass and the space elevator. Two very good things. Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. So, relevant items. Let's go check in on you, right? So we're probably going to want to dismantle this whole thing. What I'm assuming is that all my iron ore has been processed at this point. So I can now dismantle my smelter. I can dismantle you. I can dismantle you. And just like that, I no longer am worried about anything. I'm going to come over to this dude, and I'm going to pick him up with the pickup miner button. Hooray! That also gave me the ore that was in there. Now remember, there are two deposits here, and if you ping for iron, you'll discover this. See? There's actually two iron ore deposits here. So pay attention to that when you're looking for ore deposits. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two, sometimes there's as many as 3 at a cluster. So pay attention to that. And each can have multiple of these little tiny dudes that we're hanging on to, these things. You can have as many portable miners on them as you want, but you can only have one actual miner. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to place down our actual miner. It looks like we have all the resources we need to do it, but you'll note down there it's telling you need to place it on a resource node. So we're going to want to, at this point, kind of figure out how we're going to want to lay this out. We will probably tweak it and change it a little bit over time, but that works for now. Ba-bom. How cool is that thing, huh? Doesn't it look great? I love it. I love how good it looks. And then I'm probably going to want to run, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up auto smelting. But now's when we want to pay attention to numbers. You ready? It's not super important just yet, but very soon it will be. Remember, the miner will extract, according to the tooltip, okay, 60 resources per minute. That's from a normal node purity, right? We are on an impure node, which is slower. So it's going to be 30 iron per minute. There are better nodes in the world. Normal nodes would be 60, and I think there's even more pure. That would be like 120 per minute. So the nodes you find, basically, you're still unlimited, but what you're limited in is time, right? Unlimited resources, limited time. So you're only going to get 30 ore per minute out of this. So if you need more than 30 ore per minute, you're going to want to place down another miner over here and start mining that up. We'll get to it, don't worry. What I usually will do then is we'll plop down not a miner, but a smelter in front of that bad boy. And he's not well lined up at the moment, but he will be soon. Let's go ahead and connect our conveyor belts. Boom. And you're going to process iron ingots. And you'll notice that here it also tells you how fast you can process. Based on this miner and its current configuration, it can do 30 ore per minute, turns into 30 iron ingots per minute. Okay? Very important to pay attention to those numbers, because that's going to be huge for us later on. Okay? And I'm going to go ahead and place my iron ore in there. Then in front of that, we're going to place down a constructor, right? And the constructor will be relatively in front of that. And bada boom, bada bing. And this guy is going to make iron plates for us. That uses 30 iron per minute, but produces 20 iron plates per minute. Because remember, it's 3 iron ingots to 2 iron plates. So the timing here, 30 per minute input, 20 per minute output of plates. So we know that we're producing 30 iron ore per minute. We're smelting 30 iron ore per minute into 30 iron bars per minute, and then we're processing 30 iron bars per minute into 2 iron plates per minute. 20 iron plates per minute, right? So those maths add up very easily, right? In the future, you might run into slightly different maths, and that will tweak as things go by. For example, I would come over here and show you that if we change the recipe to iron rods, it's 15 ingots per minute and 15 rods per minute. So if we were making iron rods right now, the smart thing to do would be to have 2 crafters per smelter, right? Because you get 30 ingots per minute at the smelter, and you can use up to 15 ingots per minute here. So you should probably have 2 crafters, each making the 15 per minute, so they're using up all 30. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, it will in the next few episodes as we get going. How would we do that? With the current conveyors, you can't, but very soon we will have access to conveyors that allow you to do something along those lines. But for now, all I want to work on is automating iron plates, so that's what we're going to go back to doing. I'm going to go ahead and run my doohickey here. I'm going to hook him up to this and that, and then I'm going to run a doohickey over to here, and hook him up to that, and that should be pretty cool. So take a look at what we're doing. We've got a conveyor line now, a very nice looking conveyor line, very fancy. Very fancy. And I think we were even given a storage crate, which is a very nice and big thing. And my conveyors are a little bit messy, but that's okay. And storage crates are basically just giant storage containers. That's it. That's all she wrote. Super cool. Iron plates used for crafting. Looking good, right? So he's doing all the things here, and everybody's happy. So we're basically producing 30 iron plates per minute, fully automated, right? Iron ore coming out, getting smelted, smelters turning into bars, bars are turning into plates, and plates are coming in here. And I'm sorry, we're getting 20 iron plates per minute. Not too shabby. Definitely slower than crafting by hand, I'm sure is what you're thinking, but also note that it's concurrently crafting, and it's fully automated. So that's the main key. So let's look into Hub Upgrade 6. Now that we've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add this to my milestones list. We'll go ahead and place some of these things in here so I at least know what more I need to craft. And we'll be back in a minute to hand in these resources. I might have to do some more crafting because it looks like I don't have enough copper. So I'm going to go pick up copper manually, and maybe we should set up a miner for copper as well. That might not be a bad idea. We could implement that copper mine and then start auto-crafting wires. I think would be really smart. All right, guys, we're back. So I'm doing a little bit of a funny thing in this episode. I've just changed some settings with how I record the video. So please let me know in the comments of this video if before this point video looked better or after this point video looked better. Same for audio, because I'm trying to tweak to make sure that, I want the video quality to be as good as it can be, right? So it's a little bit tricky for me to gauge that, so I'm just curious how you guys feel about it, right? The other thing I'm going to do here real quick is go ahead and get a bunch of stuff cooking, so let's see. So obviously there's a need for a lot more power. So I'm running around, I'm grabbing a bunch of leaves and sticks and twigs. We're really going to need a better way to generate power, and that's going to be coming up very quickly here. But for now, just wanted to let you know that obviously with multiple machines running, we are clearly super rapidly burning through all the power here. We can right-click these leaves and kind of do that, or we can use the wood. There's some other things we can do as well shortly. I should really heavily focus right now, though, on right here. I want to finish making some more iron rods, which I just handed in. And like I said, we're going to want to tap into and set up our miner for copper. So let's go. I'm going to hold off on automating copper just yet. Actually, I'm going to automate copper after I get more power going in, because right now we are struggling to power what we already have going. I feel like setting up a whole new set of miner, smelter, autocrafter would not be the smartest move in the world. Yeah, it just wouldn't be good. So I'll be back in a minute after I do some crafting. All right, so now I think it's about time to look at upgrading our hub. Next upgrade, boom. Hub upgrade 6, milestone unlocked. Nice. Good times. Ada, what you got for me?
You have unlocked building space elevator, building biomass burner, heart biomass. Motivational message. Congratulations, you succeeded in every provided task. On behalf of Fixit Incorporated, I thank you for your current and future service. Additional knowledge. The hub terminal has been converted to give access to milestones there to ensure you progress along Fixit-approved protocols.
Hooray!
Note: future developments should be aimed at constructing the space elevator and, as such, initiating project assembly. Good luck.
Thanks, Ada. You're the best. So we've now unlocked or completed Tier 0, right? So this is the point in the game where you would start had we chosen to skip Tier 0 and start at Tier 1. However, I feel like it was important to go through that for you guys, especially, I'm assuming, like I said, a lot of you may have not seen this game before. So now we have access to Tier 1 and Tier 2 milestones. So just like before, we can select our milestone, and there's a few things. We can get base building, which gives us access to foundations. That's super cool. And also, as a note, with upgrade to Tier 6, we now have access to the biomass burner, and the space elevator, which I'll talk about in a minute. Biomass is awesome. It is basically you can convert leaves and wood and other things into biomass, and it is way more efficient at burning energy than just the raw matter. So it's basically compacted leaves and wood and other things to make a lot of fuel that'll be way better than just throwing leaves into our biomass burner, right? And the biomass burners are now buildings that we can place. So we can place more of these to generate more and more power, which we will absolutely have to do. It doesn't have automated input, though, so we still have to feed biomass in manually. But because we got biomass as an unlock, we can now make a bunch of this that'll last a lot longer, and we won't have to do it as frequently. There's even more better stuff coming up in the future. The reason there's 2 recipes listed here is one of these is the biomass made from leaves, and the other is made from wood. Now, the space elevator is a very important thing. Project Assembly, my understanding of this, is the corporation Fixit, which has, sent me to this planet to start, building a base, is looking for me to produce resources for them. So when we really get a bunch of resources produced, we can kick them up into the space elevator, and that's how we unlock these future things here. Complete space elevator. So basically, we have access to Tier 1 and 2 at the moment, and then when we hand in the right items in a space elevator, it'll unlock Tier 3 and 4. Then we hand in a bunch more items, it'll unlock 5 and 6, and then a bunch more to unlock 7 and 8. Those are the only tiers that exist currently. I don't know if there's more tiers planned, but there's probably more things being added to each tier. So let's take a quick minute to look through what Tier 1 we can unlock. So just like before, we can unlock things like base building, which gives us access to a bunch of building materials like walls and floors and stuff. Super useful. And that just requires down here the costs. So unlocking milestones is exactly the same way it worked in the milestone system for Tier 0, right? We can also get logistics, which gives us a conveyor splitter, basically 1 input to 3 outputs, or a merger, 3 inputs to 1 output. Did I say that right? 1 input to 3 outputs. Yes, and then 3 inputs to 1 output, right, for the merger. A lift, which is basically a vertical conveyor belt, and productivity display. We can see the efficiency of each building. Well, that's cool. Field research gives us access to the MAM, which is a research station that can allow us to research items that we find in the world. We can also scan for objects, place beacons in the world, place more little personal storage boxes. It also gives us an extra hand slot so we can hold more items and switch between them using the mouse wheel, and then more inventory slots. So super useful stuff there. And again, a lot of this just requires making the resources and handing them in. Tier 2 has a bunch of stuff. We get part assembly. This is an assembler. It's like the constructor building over there, except it has 2 inputs, and it basically allows us to make things like those stamped plates that we saw before. We also get access to copper sheets, rotors, and modular frames, and smart plating. These are all just components that are used for making things, is the gist of what that's all about. Obstacle clearing, I want chainsaw and solid biofuel. Super cool. That'll allow us to cut down giant trees, get lots more wood, lots more stuff. Jump pads, resource sink, and logistics Mark II gives us faster belts. So we'll take a look at all this stuff in the very near future. All right, so I guess our first question is, what should we research next? I think my personal preference is base building. This will be a nice way to kind of get going. Should we do this guy? That's a tough one. Both of them are pretty good. I think obstacle clearing might be the best thing to do first. That's just going to need a handful of screws, a handful of that and that. I think we can pull that off. That way, we can very quickly get more biomass burners, get more biomass production going on, more biofuel. It's a better form of power, and I think that seems cool. So I'm just going to grab you guys, because we obviously need that stuff. And it is a little bit dark, I think, for you guys on the YouTubes here. I'm hesitant because the only option I have would be to turn up gamma, and then gamma's going to look a little ugly. But, we'll see. It'll look uglier in daytime than it will at night. And I know that night lasts much shorter than day. So I'm just going to scramble through here, and then I can at least show you guys what biomass looks like. And then while we're waiting to see what biomass looks like, I can go ahead and research biofuel, which is even better than biomass. So that should be good. So let's come over here. I'm going to do this. We will craft up biomass. Now, one of the cool tricks is you can show only affordable recipes. Super useful, right? So biomass leaves is, I think you get 5 of them per 10 leaves. And it's a very quick craft, as you can see. But you generally need to craft a bunch of this stuff because, that's what you gotta do. And biomass wood, you get 20 for 4 pieces of wood. So that ain't bad. And that just got us a whole bunch of biomass. So if I come over here and we split this dude and split this dude, see how it lasts for almost 10 seconds? That's what's up. Right? Almost. So it lasts 9 seconds to burn this fuel. That's pretty awesome. So it's, in other words, burning 6 per minute. So it lasts way longer than... Oh, wow. Look at how many iron plates we have. It's so good. I'm going to switch this guy over. I'm going to change his recipe to be iron rods. I'm going to put those guys in there. And he'll start making iron rods for me now, which is a good time. Meanwhile, I'm going to go over here, just because we have so many plates already. And in a moment, once we get a lot more automation to play, we will have separate things making them. But at least, that'll be good. So obstacle clearing, this is the milestone I want. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a bunch of concrete and a bunch more cables and screws. And yeah, it's going to take a few minutes for me to make all these resources. So give me a minute, I'll be right back. So just as a quick FYI, I'm going to drop a miner down here if I can. That looks pretty cool. And then you're going to need some power, obviously. And I can't wait till I can build foundations. It's going to be so much better. I won't have to jump around these silly cliffs. And then obviously there's a limit to how far power lines can go before they have to be connected to another one of these guys. But I'm going to do this just so we have more connection points for the future. So that thing should be drilling in now. Let's see, I'm just crafting a few more of these. Close to the amount of concrete I need. We shall see. I love how the machines look when they're running too, because they're so cool. You can kind of see my miner in the background here. It's awesome. Yeah. Very, very nice. Alright, few more, like minuscule more pieces of concrete. Oh, and I also definitely need other limestone. There you go. So that's going to be close to the amount that I need. Now, if I wanted to, I could pipe that into a crafter to make concrete for me. Might not be a terrible idea, to be honest with you. I might do that real quick. Constructor, I believe you just have to go here-ish. Now, when we're on whatchamacallit, it'll be a lot easier to see that. But, let's see, we do this. And then you should be getting that. You just need a little bit of power. There you go. Beautiful. And I don't think I would mind a little bit of organization for the time being. So now that way, we'll have tons of concrete coming out. Beautiful. Not a bad starter, right? Not a bad starter. That should be pretty cool. Take all. Nice. So we've got just a handful more of this stuff. Let's see. I'm trying to math it up in my head real quick. 24, so that'll be 8 more. That should be enough now for sure. Beautiful. Did I make this jump? Yes. Woohoo! There will be upgrades in the future. Don't you worry. There's tons and tons of items and upgrades and character stuff that you can do to make things a lot easier. So now, I'm just going to cook up the last of the concrete I need, which will be awesome. And then a bunch of screws, and we'll be back in just a minute. The other note that I'll give you guys here is they do a really good job in this game of encouraging you to automate all the things, because this is painful. The first hour or two is very manual crafty, but then once you get all things automated, which really doesn't take very long, we'll be getting there in the next 2 or 3 episodes, and all this stuff will be fully automated, then we don't have a lot to worry about, and that'll be awesome. So we can now dump. Oh, I was close. I used up some of my cables. Rip. I used up my cables for my power lines that I just placed, so that's why I didn't have enough anymore. But, boom, obstacle clearing, ready to launch. Now this is cool. Future milestones will be handed in by that thing.
Maximum efficiency of biomass burners. To aid in biofuel production, you are now capable of removing foliage that consists primarily of wood. Additionally, R&D inflated your pocket dimension.
How cool is that? So that's how milestones are unlocked now. That little drone flies up into space and delivers your goods. So now we can make in our equipment workshop, and again, you just kind of place it wherever you want, because we're going to break it down in a minute. We can make a chainsaw, which is going to need just a few more iron rods, more of those reinforced plates. So let's wrap up the episode here. We'll make our chainsaw next episode, and then we'll get into chopping down trees. We also have access to biofuel now, which is a more efficient version of biomass, right? So biofuel, solid biofuel, requires 8 biomass. So if we start crafting a bunch of biomass, we'll start being able to make biofuel, which is just an even more efficient form of fuel production for our biofuel generators. So what I think I'll do is just, you can see it takes a moment to craft, but I'm just going to pop over here and show you. Biofuel will last 22.5 seconds. So much longer, right? How cool is that? That's awesome. All right, so wrapping up point for the episode. Direwolf20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We will come back next episode and get ourselves the chainsaw. We'll start automating all the things here. By the way, see the pod will return in timer on the top right? That's when you're allowed to hand in the next milestone. So our pod is currently launched, so we can't hand in another milestone. But that's okay, because we have lots of other resources to collect before we'll be able to do that. I think next episode we'll work on base building. I think that's the one I like. So see, we can't even deposit the items in here because there's no pod to put them in. It's up in space. All right, guys, take it easy.